The Zodiac Killer is a series of mysterious murders that terrorized San Francisco in the 1960s. After killing his victims, he played with them with codes that he sent to the police and the media. However, the identity of this killer remains unsolved. Today we will explore his mysterious crimes and the codes behind them. Who is the Zodiac Killer? The self-proclaimed Zodiac Killer is directly linked to at least 5 murders in Northern California in 1968 and 1969, with 2 other victims surviving despite serious injuries. However, he might have been responsible for more killings. He taunted police and made threats through letters sent to area newspapers from 1969 to 1974, before abruptly ceasing communication. Through that correspondence, he claimed to have killed as many as 37 people. Despite intensive investigations and multiple theories pertaining to the killer's identity, no one was ever caught for the crimes, and the case remains open. The Zodiac Killer's crime spree began in the late 1960s. He committed multiple murders near San Francisco. His first victims were 2 young lovers. The crux of the crime was never solved. Zodiac Killer letters, symbol, and cipher. On August 1st, 1969, the San Francisco Examiner, San Francisco Chronicle, and Vallejo Times-Herald each received an identical handwritten letter in an envelope without a return address. Beginning, "Dear Editor, I am the killer of the 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman." The letters contained details from the Zodiac Killer's murders that only the perpetrator could have known. The killer went on to threaten further attacks if the letters were not printed on the front page of the papers. Each letter closed with a symbol consisting of a circle with a cross through it, in what would come to be known as the Zodiac Killer's symbol. The letters were also each accompanied by one part of a 3-part cipher that he claimed contained his identity. While Bay Area police departments, with the support of the FBI, worked feverishly to track down the killer, another letter soon arrived at the San Francisco Examiner. Beginning, "Dear Editor, this is the Zodiac speaking." It also described the murders in detail and taunted police for not having been able to crack his code or catch him. Several days later, high school teacher Donald Hardin and his wife, Betty, were able to solve the cipher. "I like killing people because it is so much fun," it read. "It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all." 3 days after the 4th known Zodiac killing, the 1969 murder of taxi driver Paul Stine, the San Francisco Chronicle received a letter claiming the crime. Written in the same erratic print as the Zodiac's previous letters, it gave the details of Stine's murder and was accompanied by a bloody scrap of Stine's shirt. At the end of the letter, the killer mused that he would next shoot out the tire of a school bus and pick off the kiddies as they come bouncing out. The Zodiac Killer continued his taunting correspondence with Bay Area papers, in which he included more ciphers, claimed to have committed several more murders, and mocked the police for their inability to catch him. In 1974, the letters stopped, though the investigation continues to this day. 4 separate attacks involving 7 people have been definitively attributed to the Zodiac Killer. The first confirmed incident took place on the night of December 20th, 1968, when 17-year-old David Faraday and his 16-year-old girlfriend, Betty Lou Jensen, were shot to death near their car at a remote spot on Lake Herman Road on the outskirts of Vallejo, California. Police were baffled, unable to determine the motive for the crime or a suspect. Early in the morning of July 5th, 1969, Darlene Ferrin, age 22, and her boyfriend, Mike Mago, age 19, were sitting in the parked car in a similarly remote Vallejo location when they were approached by a man with a flashlight. The figure fired multiple shots at them, killing Ferrin and seriously wounding Majo. Within an hour of the incident, a man called the Vallejo Police Department, giving them the location of the crime scene and claiming responsibility for both that attack and the 1968 murders of Faraday and Jensen. Despite evidence that included fingerprints, Majo's description, the decoded cipher, and a wave of tips and leads, police were unable to track down the Zodiac Killer. On the evening of September 27, 1969, he struck again, approaching young couple Cecilia Shepard and Brian Hartnell as they relaxed on an isolated part of the shore of Lake Berryessa in Napa County. Wearing a hood and a shirt bearing a circle cross symbol, he tied them up before brutally stabbing them, scrawling a message for police on their car door and leaving the scene. He then called the Napa Police Department to claim responsibility. Shepard and Hartnell were both in critical condition, but alive when emergency services arrived. However, Shepard died of her wounds shortly thereafter. 2 weeks later, on October 11, 1969, the Zodiac claimed another life, shooting 29-year-old taxi driver Paul Stein in San Francisco's Presidio Heights neighborhood. As the murder didn't seem to fit the Zodiac's pattern, it was initially deemed a robbery until the San Francisco Chronicle received a letter claiming the crime. At least 5 other murders have been tentatively linked to the Zodiac Killer, including the 1963 shooting of Robert Domingos and Linda Edwards near Santa Barbara, California, and the 1966 stabbing death of college student Cherry Jo Bates in Riverside, California. A comparated sketch of the Zodiac Killer from 1969. With descriptions from witnesses who had seen a man leaving the scene of Paul Stein's 1969 murder, police were able to create and circulate a composite sketch of the killer. But despite mounting evidence and the investigation of numerous suspects, the Zodiac remained at large. More than 5 decades after the Faraday-Jensen murders, no suspect has ever been arrested. The inability to identify the Zodiac Killer has continued to frustrate law enforcement. In 2020, after more than 50 years, amateur code breakers solved the Zodiac Killer's cipher. The decoded message read, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. That wasn't me on the TV show," which brings up a point about me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber, because it will send me to paradise all the sooner, because I now have enough slaves to work for me, where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise, so they are afraid of death. I am not afraid, because I know that my new life will be an easy one, in paradise, death. Who do you think the Zodiac Killer was? Can this case be solved, or will it remain a mystery that will never be solved? Share your thoughts in the comments.